Hello, ho, ho, no holds barred, and welcome to a special Christmas edition of...
You didn't warn me. You didn't warn me you're going to do that.
It's a good intro. Welcome to a special Christmas edition of the Vintage Spoon Wrestling Podcast, the 5th ever edition of the Vintage Spoon Wrestling Podcast. Five time. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed colleagues. First of all, Ross Harmston. I haven't thought of a name for you for this one. I haven't introduced you.
Guest.
You're a guest. It's the second show.
Special guest.
Special guest referee.
Returning guest.
And, of course, the Jinder Mahal to Ross and I Singh brothers. Professional wrestler.
I was like, I thought you were going to put yourself as AJ Styles and Triple H, but I'm glad you put yourself as Singh Brothers.
Benjamin Shelley. Ben, how are you?
Well, sick. I was going to say very good at that. I was like, no, actually sick. That's what I've been telling the wife for the last 4 days. So
we're all sick today. It's that kind of time. So we have got some special stuff today. We are going to go through some of what happened at Clash of Champions, talk about our predictions from that. We've got a Christmas quiz. We have got the Vintage Spoon Awards.
Hang on. Just to clarify, it's not a Christmas quiz. It's a quiz that's taking place at Christmas and is not entirely Christmas related at all.
Is this going to be like the quiz we did for a little while back that you said was themed around the pay-per-view, and it was actually themed around Cesaro's ring names?
Kind of. It said that I'd never said I was going to do a Christmas quiz.
Okay, so let's start by talking about Clash of Champions. What did we think of it as a show overall? Before we say who won the predictions, because I'm putting that bit off.
Can I start by saying it was predictable?
Well, it was for you, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
I think it was an all right show. I think it was brought down by the fact that there was some really complicated matches. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. You had the four-way tag, where you had sort of 4 people in the ring, but sometimes there weren't, and it was no DQ, so there was no reason why anyone was tagging in, but they still sort of were, and the ending was a bit fudgy. The women's match, which was a lumberjack match, which is always chaos. The special ref match, where the wrestlers might as well not really have been there because it was just Brian and Shane doing a thing. So there was a lot of really confusing bits happening within it, which I think made it sort of difficult to follow. And you could tell that the crowd were having trouble with it, because they were... The match they probably gave the biggest reaction to was Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, which had amazing heat. But because it was on
and
first.
the tag match.
Tag match as well, actually, yeah. Tag match they got pretty... Yeah, Rusev Day
was, full. They've gone over pretty much with the fans. Well, in that arena anyway.
I love Rusev. I love Rusev Day.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot of it was testing to see like how over Rusev Day was, and it was like they were testing the water with it.
Yeah,
to see if they were. Yeah, to see if they could put them in a tag title picture.
Yeah, I can see that. I think they will get a run at some point with the belts, but I don't think it hurts them that it's only now that they're doing it. I think it's fine that they've got a little while yet. So I think they'll be all right.
But more importantly, Daniel Bryan took a bump.
That's an excellent point about that ref match. We definitely didn't just cut the video there because something went funny with the sound. This is a seamless transition.
Seamless.
Yeah.
So the other thing is about him taking a bump. Is this a case that they're actually saying they're willing to let him wrestle if they're willing to let him take ref bumps?
I mean, it wasn't much of a bump.
I don't think it will. Yeah.
But you either can't wrestle because you can't bump, or you can wrestle and you can bump. Surely.
they've pasted themselves into a bit of a corner where they basically had him squaring up to Shane. So now they have to either he has to either
we
fight
were like,
Shane.
Shane, don't aim for the head. Don't aim for the head, Shane.
I mean, he's not going to be able to withstand those tiny punches. The concussion will be back in seconds. But they've at some point he has to either stand up to Shane or just walk away. I don't know quite where I don't know where they're going with it. I like it because I don't know where they're going with it, but it does seem problematic potentially. So, do we have any thoughts on the main event? Which was the main event? I was surprised that they put the world title match on it. It was
Jinder's done, I guess. I guess they have to release every Indian on their roster now, I guess.
all three of them.
Yeah.
Well, actually, those three are Canadian, I think. I don't think they have any
Canadians. Then.
Yeah.
I think the main event was a bit the whole crowd, like the whole pay-per-view, it started off really well, and it had a lot of moments where I think it peaked at a certain point, and then it just started going downhill, and people weren't really interested in the main event at all. Like, the crowd were just non-responsive for the majority of it, and I don't know, like, I just don't think those two gelled in the ring that well.
AJ got a good match out of him on SmackDown when he first won the belt. That was Jinder's best match, which is, I mean, it's not saying a great
Isn't he
deal.
also injured as well? Isn't Jinder hindered by an injury?
There have been rumours that he's been working through a shoulder injury for quite a while, which is a part of why they took the belt off him. But I think mostly it was just that it wasn't working. I think the Jinder experiment is done.
Yeah.
Which doesn't explain what I predicted for him. But I think he'll pop up in the Rumble. I don't see him doing anything other than sliding down the card, though. But then, we've been saying that all year. So, who knows? Maybe he'll beat Brock Lesnar at Mania.
Keep that one in your back pocket for later.
I will do.
Yeah.
That's going to be necessary. What was with the Singh brothers bit, though? Like, they teased it on SmackDown. They had him beat up the Singhs, and then they did a thing like, oh, they're going to be a factor. And then they had a promo backstage, which again was, well, what are the Singhs going to do? Who are they going to side with? And then they're just normal.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
You've missed out a huge bit, because there was wasn't there the fact that on the India tour they were in his corner after he beat them up.
Yep.
And then they came out to AJ on SmackDown and were like, yeah, we'll kind of be with you. And then AJ was like, actually, no, I have internet and know that you were in his corner in India. So, no, I'm not falling for this.
It's part of this weird thing that they're doing now where house shows suddenly count, and they're suddenly like part of the main story, even though they've never been before, unless there's been a title change.
But I think that's important, though, because in this age where you've got all of the social media and everything, they can't now put stuff on house show which isn't canon.
True.
Yeah.
And it makes it...
Because you can watch these matches, you can watch these house show matches on YouTube now.
Yeah, that's true. It is harder and harder to hide it. But it brings up the weird stuff like Triple H being a babyface at house shows, but not on TV, and it doesn't feel very well thought through to me. But we will see. We will see. I suppose we should talk about the results of our predictions. I mean, we don't have to. We can just skip.
No,
past
I
that.
think we should. I definitely think we should.
Yeah. Well, it's not worth talking about your predictions, Spoon, if we're honest, is it?
Hey, I had a very noble defense with my 2 points, which
Yeah.
2 points, which if we're being fair, should probably be 1 point, because I predicted an actual finish for the tag match and said that there was no way Gable was getting pinned by the Usos. And then they got pinned anyway. But then they got their win back on SmackDown because 50-50 booking is better than setting up long-term storylines. So,
Okay.
yeah, I definitely win.
The official scores were 4-4-2.
Okay.
However,
Nice.
this is all on the factor that a prediction of cash-in or not is counted. Because me and Spooner talk about this before we recorded. Predicting a cash-in isn't worth more points. You don't get 2 points if you predict cash-in, even though it's really difficult to predict. So if we took the cash-in predictions out, then it would actually be 4-3-2 for Vintage.
Okay.
Because I basically, if we don't count the cash-in predictions, I got 4 out of 5, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's a good run. We didn't bother to come back online and predict the Bludgeon Brothers or the or the Mojo
Rawley
match.
To be fair, we should have done Spoonie because then we could have got more points and you could have lost more points.
I believe in Brizango. So yeah, I was I decimated. But
So I'm fully expecting all the sound to be erased from this video now that I've won.
Yeah, weird that we only ever have technical problems on events where I've lost. But I will come back stronger for the Royal Rumble. You can guarantee.
You did go on a bit of a tear after my first win.
I was pretty good. I just went nuts on this one. I was just like, you know what? Who cares? Jinder's gonna win. I just went with all the weird ones. Although none of us got Ziggler.
No.
No. But the thing is, if I wasn't so scared of losing, I probably would have said Ziggler because it's it's like when I predicted Corbin getting the belt. It's the kind of swerve that I could have seen them doing.
I think if you look at the rest of the event, I think it looked quite predictable, which I know is stupid for me to say now, but the big stuff, like I think in Vince's mind, Jinder is done, so he didn't see that anyone would believe Jinder could beat Styles. Everyone knew what the result of the special ref match was going to be, if only because Sami Zayn was being already advertised for this mixed tag match thing the same day that they were having the match for their careers. So it feels to me like a last-minute swerve, like they thought, actually, this card's a bit weird. Let's do something. Ziggler's leaving tomorrow anyway, apparently. So let's just do a thing where he takes the belt for one last time so we can do a goodbye, which was a weird one.
Yeah, I didn't like him laying the belt down. I think he either needed to throw it away or he needed to take it with him. But just putting it down the ground was really weird.
I think he should have come out in his Undertaker costume again and then just folded it up in the ring and walked away. It was apparently Natalia hasn't retired. This is what I'm hearing. This her weird retirement speech. Apparently that's not her retirement. She's still going to stick around, which is really weird. Yeah. Not that
that is weird.
Needs no more cat ear merchandise, obviously.
Love the cat ears. I want some of those cat ears. Which, I'm not sad that that's not how she goes out, because she deserves a better send off than walking away crying with everyone shouting, "You deserve it."
To be fair though, Ziggler deserved a lot better though, didn't he? Because Ziggler's just been so good, and he's just such a great wrestler, and it's a real shame.
He's brilliant, but he's just. It's sort of ironic that his career has, at its 2 points, kind of mirrored the two people he's most often compared to. You know, when he's been on the up, he's been compared to Shawn Michaels. Everyone's saying he could be the next Shawn Michaels. When in fact, what he's sort of become is closer to what he actually probably is, which is the next Mr. Perfect. Someone who was amazing in the ring, incredible technical wrestler, incredible at selling, made everyone look great, but for some reason never quite made the top.
Yeah.
It's perhaps unfair because Perfect, a lot of that was to do with personal issues, but whereas Ziggler I don't think has those. I think it's just been politics.
Oh, he was injury prone, wasn't he?
That's true. His biggest push, the world title push, he was injured straight after getting it, and that just I don't think he ever recovered from that really.
Yeah, Seth might be going that way as well. Really,
It seems to be. That Shield reunion is that ain't looking great right now, is it?
No, so Roman's.
I think that's it now.
It's so disappointing, this Shield reunion, because you can tell everyone wants it to work.
Spinny, would you say it was the most disappointing thing of 2017?
I considered that. I did consider putting it in there. Just in terms of the potential and what it could have been and how everyone wants it to succeed. The huge amount of good it's doing for Roman. It's the first time he's been cheered since the Shield broke up the first time. And it could have been really good, but it just keeps getting derailed. First Roman was out. Now Dean's going to be out for 6 months. They're talking about. They can't keep it all going. And Dean was the logical one to break it up. So what are they going to do? Is Seth going to turn on Roman again? Is Roman going to go heel and go into Mania against Lesnar as a heel? That would be great, but I don't see it happening. It's not great. But speaking of prediction of things that were the best and worst of the year, we're going to talk about some of our best and worst moments of the year in our Vintage Spoon Awards for 2017. But before that, we have got a quiz run by the Vintage One.
Quiz.
What's the theme this time?
So I stole this idea, and it's the third different format for a quiz that we've had as well. So what I did was I thought who are the most ridiculous personalities in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryback came to my mind.
I mean, yeah, he's up
and
there.
what I thought I'd do was I'd create a list of things that Ryback may have said,
right?
And then you would have to determine whether Ryback did in fact say them or or basically if he made these outlandish comments or whether I just made them up.
All right.
And for each one, you basically you'd say, is it Ryback or is it not Ryback?
Nice, I like that.
All right,
But the problem is, Ryback doesn't really rhyme with anything.
Ryback or lieback?
Yeah.
Nice.
I should have asked you. But then it got even better because then I realised because that was quite difficult because it took me ages because I had to trawl through various different articles where he'd said something stupid.
Wow, I bet that was a riveting afternoon.
It was quite painful, and because there was a lot of repetition as well, and I had to get quite a long list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found Vince Russo's Twitter.
Oh,
and we're familiar with who Vince Russo is, yeah,
yes.
guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who's watched the Attitude Era knows.
Okay, and basically his Twitter just did all the work for me. I can literally just scroll down, and then I can literally just read out tweets or read out stuff that I'd made up, and that's the game. So it's either Rousseau or Rousseau.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we're not having nothing to do with Ryback. Or I was going to send this video to Ryback if you ever have to wrestle him. Because your careers are on a convergence.
They are.
You're on the way up, and he's Ryback.
But the thing is, the Ryback one's done, so I've always got it in my pocket if I can't be asked
that's
to do
good.
one.
That's
that's
great.
a good one.
I'll make a good promo when you guys meet.
Okay,
Let's play Rousseau or Rousseau.
Brilliant. Okay. So what we can do is I can either tell you the answers as we go along, or I can actually write down what your answers were, and then we could go back through, because that way then it gives it a bit more unpredictability, because then you don't get into a rhythm of knowing what he sounds like, what I sound like.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what's your preference?
I think I like reveal as we go, because
Okay, reveal as we go.
reveal as we go.
Yeah, let's reveal it we go.
Okay, if it's reveal as we go, I'm not going to tell you how many there's going to be. So we're
Okay.
just going to keep
Alright,
going
cool.
until the list runs out. Okay, right.
Is it
So,
buzzers,
I'm
or are
gonna-
you going to go one of us at a time?
One at a time.
One at a
Spoony,
time,
you can go
cool.
first. Okay.
I'm going first.
Um,
Okay.
Okay, so I'll literally just go read it out. Sometimes they're capitalized and sometimes they're not. And okay, I won't tell you if they're capitalized or not, because it might give away if.
Oh, that's
there
not the
isn't.
quote. Okay, I thought he was just talking about grammar.
Right, okay. Okay, it's coming now.
Okay.
It's coming now. After being so pissed off after wasting 3 hours of my time last night, I decided I'm going to record Raw on Monday and fast forward through it before our review show. Just can't take any more. Hate coming across as negative, but show sucks. They don't care, so I don't care. Dan, is that Russo or Russo?
That's Vince Russo. That's too boring for you to have written by yourself, surely.
And Ross?
No Russo.
Russo. Okay.
Oh yeah, Russo. There you go.
Okay, so that one is a Russo.
Yes.
Boom.
1-0.
I feel like I'll go for the opposite of what you go for, because just to mix it up.
It's true. I mean, there's only two possible answers. It's a bit tricky.
All right, I'm going to get this next one.
Okay, Ross, you're first on this one, okay?
All
Right, the next
cool.
one. Got to admit, I stood up and chanted yes, yes, yes with Stephanie McMahon at the end of Raw, because thank God it was over.
Oh. Russo.
Spoon?
Man hates Raw. Russo.
It is Russo.
God.
2-0.
Right. I'm just going to keep saying
Okay.
Russo now, and then eventually I'll get one.
Okay, Spoony,
Yes.
you're up. Fools want to talk about my booking. Elias has the best at WWE match against Roman Reigns, gets squashed next week by Braun Strowman, and is nowhere to be found this week. That's how you kill a talent.
He's defending Elias. I don't think that Vince Russo likes Elias. I don't think Elias is his sort of guy. I'm going to say Russo.
Ross?
Russo, I'll go with as well.
That's Russo.
Oh, shit!
He actually put the at I am Elias WWE. He's actually Twitter tagging it as well. But
He
I didn't
actually
do that
tagged him.
just-
Well, you
Yeah.
know,
Shit.
sucking up to Elias. He thinks Elias is maybe his way back into the game.
No, apparently, yeah, he really likes Elias.
Wow. Well, at
Nice.
least someone does, eh?
Okay. The next one is all in caps. Okay, this is all capitalized, and this is your one, Ross, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hold the phone. ... Meltzer Magoo gets recognised at Hot Topic by a girl with green hair and an earring through her eye, and there was attached a picture of Mr. Magoo. Did I make that up, or was that a Russo?
I'm going to go with it to Russo.
Okay, and Spoon.
I think they've all been Russo so far, so I think just based on the numbers, I think Russo.
That one is a Russo.
Yeah!
I could never have come up with that. The fact that it's all capitalised, he calls Dave Meltzer Mr. Magoo and inserted a picture of Mr. Magoo. I am not that creative. But it was just so brilliant, I couldn't leave it off this list.
Oh my god.
I thought it was far too obvious, but there you go.
Magoo. What does it even mean?
You know who Mr. Magoo is, right?
Not really.
Mr. Magoo's like a really old guy, who can't see very well, and he's basically just saying Meltzer's really out of touch.
Whoa. People in the wrestling industry not liking Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay,
2-1.
yeah. So, Spoonie,
yes.
you're up.
All right.
Tonight on my podcast, I will be disengaging with social media as it's time to move on and promote a more positive message.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like Roos. Roos, no.
Yeah, Roos, no.
Rousseau.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is like from like 3 weeks ago. He said he was just going to end all social media interaction, and then like a week later, he's back.
Oh, that guy. What a swerve.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, are we back to Ross now?
Yeah,
How is
yeah.
this one, by the way? Are you enjoying this?
This is
Yeah,
good.
it's
This
fun.
is great. I love these.
Okay. So, oh man, the marks are out in full force because I said today's ring acrobatics don't suspend disbelief because the moves look so choreographed. Silly me, just trying to stay relevant.
I don't know. I've got a feeling that they're all going to be Rousseau. I'm going to go, right, this is going to be the one that's Roos, no.
So Roos, no.
Spoonie?
I think you're onto something with this. I like that you had a theory that they're all Russo and then immediately went against it. I'm going to stick with your theory and say that is Russo.
That is Rousseau.
Ah!
Okay.
Oh.
We've got 2 left.
Okay,
2 left.
So you're
It
three-
feels like this is
3-1.
dragging a bit, so we've got two left.
cool.
All right.
Okay. Are we back to Spoon now?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. If you keep telling yourself you're depressed, then you're going to be depressed. Wake up today and tell yourself, today I ride into no depression lane. Make things happen. It's all a state of mind.
Oh my god. That's horrible. That's really dark and it's an awful thing to say. And it definitely is the sort of thing that Vince Russo would say. That's a horrible, horrible Russo.
Russo.
Yeah, that's Russo.
Oh god. Oh.
Okay.
Jesus.
Last one.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I killed pro wrestling just like Muhammad Ali killed professional boxing. Never been the same since the day he left. So good, no one can ever follow his act.
Russo.
Yeah, go on, Russo as well. That's
is
the
Russo.
fun.
Yeah, they're all
There we
Russo.
go. They're all Russo. There we go. Russos say the craziest things. I'm sad that the last one wasn't just Machka.
Yeah.
Like, I would have enjoyed playing Russo or Rusev.
To be
That's the
fair,
next one.
that's it now. All done.
All done. All done. Who won? Were you keeping
I
score?
wasn't keeping score. I was too busy enjoying it.
I think you were 3-1, and then I don't know. I think you won. I think you won.
Hey, the important thing when you're playing Russo or Noso is
No.
Russo or Russo. The journey is what's important. It's not the destination.
Yeah, this is true.
Oh god.
Yeah, there
what-
was some
believe-
absolute gold in there.
Oh god, what an awful person.
Yeah.
So in that case, let's
To be
move
fair,
on. Let's leave.
Just before we move on, there was actually a load. There was like about 5 or 6 all about him trashing that particular Raw that week.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I thought I can't do too much of that. So, but thankfully he gave me even more the more I scrolled down.
yeah, really.
I was going to actually do a Roos No about the Christmas episode of SmackDown Live, say it doesn't belong on there, and say Rusev deserves better, and say something about, I suppose we'll see Hanukkah soon on programming and stuff like that to see if that would get you going. But I thought, let's just keep on.
I mean, we'd have like if you were going to give us one about Vince Russo supposedly trashing
Being anti-Semitic.
weird gimmick booking, then I think we might have spotted it.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh dear. Right. It is time for the Vintage Spoon Awards. We're going to talk about some of the best and some of the worst things from the year. We've got 10 categories. We've got nominations for each of them, and we're going to pick a winner from each one, hopefully fairly quickly, because there are a few of them. We got excited. So the first one is Best Tag Team. Who wants to start with that? Let's start with Ross. Who have you got?
I have the New Day. I just think this year they've been like smashing it in terms of their matches. Like they're the most memorable matches that I've had, and it was a hard one because it was either New Day or the Usos. Because them two together, they've had some of the most memorable matches they've stuck in my head like throughout the whole year. The Hell in the Cell when them two, and it's like so, and they've adapted as well, like a lot of their style now. Like Big E is insane. Like when he does his diving, like it's kind of unsafe as well. When he does his diving thing out of the in between the ropes at people, but like it's not the normal sort of suicide dives where they kind of just put their hands out first. He just goes straight in with his head and doesn't give a shit.
Yep.
And I just like the gimmick is a little bit stale in terms of like the New Day and they're doing pancakes now. They're giving people pancakes from Big E's jock strap, which is a bit weird. In SmackDown, he like pulls it into his like unitard and like throws them at people, which is a bit weird. But
Yummy.
yeah. So I'd say New Day for me.
Good show. Vintage, what do you reckon?
Right, should I say my ones first and then trash and...
Oh my god, have you got two?
Yeah, because, well, I've got a WE one and a non-WWE one.
Okay, go for it. What you got?
So the non-WE one has to be Young Bucks because they're just the best tag team in the world.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And then my WWE one is Usos. But mine, for me, all of the ones I've picked are specifically because of 2017. Because the reason I don't think it's New Day is because New Day aren't better than they were last year. If anything, I think they're probably slightly worse than they were last year. And they're not even a tag team because there's three of them. But enough of trashing Ross's choice. I think much, but Ross's points about the fact that they've had the best matches this year, I think, is very important because Usos have had the best matches with New Day this year. And also, I think they have grown in terms of their characters and they're really over and they've got their catchphrases and the penitentiary thing, which I don't understand, but people get but it gets so, I mean, well, so like they what run a prison and
the most
prison
dad
is
thing
SmackDown.
you've ever said.
But it is. They run a prison apparently, which doesn't exist.
It's a prison in your mind.
It's called the Uso Penitentiary, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a random prison that doesn't exist.
They're the spiritual successors to Nails. That's their gimmick now.
I thought that was that guy from 205.
Who's the? I don't know. I don't watch 205.
But yeah, there's some guy who got wrestled in 205, wasn't there?
Is there a tiny?
Oh, Rich Swann.
Oh,
Rich Swann,
of course. Yeah. He got proper arrested.
Yeah, so Usos for me.
Usos, good pick.
That's a good shout as well.
It is. It's been a strong year for tag team competition. I'm of course going to go for Heavy Machinery. I'm going to go for Sheamus and Cesaro. Or The Bar. Yeah. Is that their name? Is it not? It says it on their trunks. Sometimes they get announced as that. Sometimes they don't. We're not quite sure. Shamzaro with their Mighty Boosh jackets and their kilts. They're just so good. They've just the reason I've picked them over the Usos, who I would say are up there as well, is that they've not only been an amazing tag team, they've had some amazing single stuff as well. They've been holding sort of the Raw TV shows together in the last bit of the year because they've got so many injuries. There aren't so many people around. they've been throwing them into singles matches. And Cesaro especially, we know, has always been great. And he's put on some great matches. And Sheamus has been, especially given that he's working through a really bad neck injury right now, which potentially career-ending neck injury. He's just put on some really good stuff as well. So I think they've just edged the Usos, to my mind. What do we want to pick an overall winner? Because we haven't discussed this, or do we want to just say our favourites and move on? I don't think we have to have an exact winner. It's not like we're going to send them prizes and they'll be like, "Hey, what's a vintage spoon?" Someone sent us a spoon.
What's the spoon thing?
To be fair, though, I'd be happy to take your choice, though, Spoon. I think the bar could eat. I would go with the bar as well. I mean, not necessarily exactly for the same reason you said. Like, I don't think being good as a singles wrestler as well means that you should win Tag Team of the Year. But I would happy to give it to the bar rather than Usos, to be honest.
It was a coin toss almost, because the fact the Usos had the best match of a pay-per-view on the pre-show. Again, with New Day, like, that feud is probably feud of the year. That's been so good. They've just done so many great things with it. Managed to turn face without losing any momentum. They're just great. So that brings us to our second award, which is Best Moment. So a single best cool moment from throughout the year. Vintage, what have you got?
Right, I'm calling you out on this right now, Spoon, because if you don't say my answer, I think that you are not the person I thought you were.
Okay.
I think you've been kidnapped and replaced by someone else, much like Avril Lavigne.
Is it when X-Pac came back and won the Universal title?
No. Have you heard this conspiracy theory about Avril Lavigne that apparently 5 years ago she died and then got replaced by like her stunt double, who is now masquerading as her?
I mean, it's definitely credible that Avril Lavigne has a stunt double.
Or someone that looked like her. She's basically been replaced because the real Avril Lavigne died.
Right.
Hence why she looks a bit like she's gained weight or something. And apparently that's the theory.
I mean, it would be important that the government would replace Avril Lavigne.
We need more Avril Lavigne in this world. Come on, we can't let her die.
She is still relevant.
Yeah.
What's your best moment?
Right. So if it's got to be the Hardy Boys' return at WrestleMania and winning the belts, because that would have been. I bet that's when you had your biggest pop of the year.
Yeah, probably was. I didn't manage to get that, and it was done so well as a secret. I didn't manage to see it as a secret because I was avoiding the Mania result. But when I opened Facebook or whatever that morning, it had a little thing on the side saying Hardy Boys were trending globally, which they weren't going to do from a Ring of Honor show. It was a massive moment. The fact that the Hardys wrestled earlier that day, I think it was, for Ring of Honor, to throw everyone off the support, and then they hid them, and then they went up to their hotel rooms and said they were going to bed, and then snuck out the back and went to Mania and won the. It was great. That was pretty good. A worthy one. Ross, what do you reckon?
I had a toss up between two. So the Hardys' return, I think, was one of them because I was watching it live. Well, not live. I was watching it with my mates, and we all just stood up and were going mental when it happened. So it was a massive moment that was a big shock as well. And then I also had John Cena's promo against Roman Reigns on Raw.
Cool.
Because I don't know why, but it's just really memorable to me. Just purely because he's it's a really good promo, just where he shoots Roman Reigns down. Really John Cena's really good at doing promos anyway on people, and I think those two were really good. And they had a really good promo section in Raw. So that was another one, but I probably would go with Hardy Boys' return. My
only problem with I liked the Cena promo. I think issues with kind of, okay, so how much are we pretending this isn't real anymore? Because it went quite far in it, and the fact that it did lead to a sort of disappointing match, was a bit of a shame. But no, I think that's fair. Mine is Sammy's heel turn at the end of Hell in a Cell. I think Hell in a Cell was one of the big surprises of the year. It really didn't look like it was going to be that great. There wasn't a lot of hype. Shane and Owens put on a really, really good match, really good storytelling, and then just I didn't see it coming at all. Sammy pulling him out of the way, and just it's the look on Sammy's face when after he's done it, when he realizes what he's done. You know, he's still you realize it's still the same guy. It's not just a guy who's had a complete personality switch. He just he realizes he's all in now, and he has to just finish the job. So, and that's when he puts Owens on top of him. It's like someone who's accidentally almost murdered someone and then realizes he's just got to go through with it. It's really great storytelling, and I think they've stalled a bit since, but I think they're, I really, really rated that moment. I thought it was brilliant.
Right, I'm going to trash both of yours now.
Okay.
In order for your one to win Spoon, it means that the award has to be shared with Shane McMahon.
Fair.
And for your one to win, Ross, it would mean having to share the award with Roman Reigns.
But Shane McMahon's the best wrestler in the world.
But there's also the fact for your Spoon. There's with your Spoon. The issue is, I don't mind the heel turn, but it's such a shame that they ran out of ideas for what to do with Zayn so early. I think he had at least another year before they turn him.
Yeah, fair.
But exactly like Bayley, I don't want to talk too much about Bayley for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But exactly like Bayley, they've just jumped the shark on something that should have been really easy to book. And that's why it cuts me to my core that we've had a Zayn turn.
I consider. I don't think anyone would. I don't think anyone would feel bad about the Hardys' return being the moment of the year. I think it's a fabulous one. The next one will be controversial because it's a very serious one. One that Vintage was very, very keen to ensure was included in the show. Best scarf of the year.
Right. Go on, do you want to go first in this one?
I mean, I feel you need to justify why it's in here.
I'm just all about presenting a show which gives Paul and his cat. And sorry, I didn't shout
Paul
out
and his cat.
Yeah, because I mentioned it earlier and I didn't. So I just want to make sure that we produce a show for Paul and his cat, which is going to be different from all the other numerous wrestling shows that they watch together.
This is because I told you we needed a USP, isn't it? I never should have. And it's scarves.
Scarves.
But it was only after doing this that I realised how prominent scarves are in modern wrestling right now.
Are they?
Well, we had at least 5 contenders.
We did come up with a few. Well, my pick is for Jey Uso for the very fetching SmackDown Tag Team Championship belt that he wears around his neck all the time, which is sort of a scarf. Who have you guys got?
I'm gonna change my original one to
Swerve.
Yeah, to oh my God, what's his name? No Chin.
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth.
Yes, James Ellsworth's leash when he wore a leash, or when he wore a collar thing. Right?
We're just defining a scarf as anything that goes around your neck, aren't we?
Yeah. Or Aiden English as well.
Beard is kind of a scarf. And all right, who's your scarf of the year?
To be fair, I thought there was no competition on this one. I thought Jericho's got this one hands down as the master of the scarf.
He's the only one who hasn't had his scarf be a gimmick.
Until Ross introduced me to the possibility of Aiden English,
Yeah.
and that is some high-powered scarf wearing that he does.
It is.
He does.
And I think maybe Jericho just became a bit of a parody, whereas Aiden English, I think, is still quite serious.
Rusev
In
Day
the way
is... He was dressed as a snowman.
And to be fair, that Mr. Snowman should wear scarves as well.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I for
So-
one cannot wait until Jericho comes back to reclaim his scarf, and they have just a really bloody feud over a
Don't
scarf.
spoil this for me.
He's gonna Kenny Omega him. He's gonna just appear after a promo and just
I
bust him
don't
open
want-
with a scarf.
I don't want the indies and the smarks getting hold of my scarf thing. I don't want them ruined.
Top Scott off booking there. Okay, so
So Aiden English for me.
All right, Aiden English wins it. There we go. Let's go.
So
for...
easy conceded.
Yeah. That's an important one. It's because we've got 10 of these to get through. There's a lot.
All right, cool.
I want to
Not
take my
my
predictions
fault.
as well.
This isn't my fault for a change.
No, it's true. For once, it's not. Right. Big one now. Men's superstar or wrestler of the year, depending on which company you're talking about. Who is the best wrestler of 2017? Ross, who do you reckon?
AJ Styles for me.
Fair.
Like, I just think he's been every match he's in, he is pushing the other person up, and he's just had some really good matches this year. And I think it's just AJ Styles, because every time he's in a match, it's not rubbish, because you can see he's trying to work his hardest, and he sells pretty well as well. So yeah, I think it's AJ Styles for me.
He's had some brilliant matches. Cena, Lesnar, yeah, some great ones.
Yeah.
Vintage, I'm assuming The Miz.
I'm just really glad that you changed it to wrestler rather than superstar, because I can't stand calling them superstars.
It's a rubbish trade now.
Yeah.
Are
To be
you
fair, if
going
it
to
was
vote for
best superstar,
Are you going to vote
Go
for
on.
yourself? Vintage Ben
Well,
Shelley.
I was in the mix.
Yeah.
But like always, I put over the better wrestler.
Nice.
Yeah, so for this one, the non-WWE one had to be Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's really good.
7-star match.
Well, shush, don't say too much. Spoiler alert. Yeah, AJ for me as well, for the same reasons.
Yeah. Okay. I'm similar. I'm going to go Braun Strowman. I think this was Braun's year in a lot of ways. He was the star of the Raw brand for the year, which is not easy to do with that many big stars in it. And in a year when kind of people like Balor have kind of and Nakamura have kind of fumbled, not to do with any fault of their own, but just haven't hit the heights that they are. Braun's someone who a couple of years ago you would never have put near it. He is consistently my favourite thing to watch in wrestling. Like I will tune into any segment with Braun in it, because I just love him. Just chasing the Miztourage, his little run.
Or him coming out of a garbage truck.
He's the only wrestler who's been killed on screen and then come back from the dead a week later. If it was even that.
Yeah.
So I would go with Braun, but AJ is worthy as well. I would argue AJ hasn't had as great a year this year as last year. I think his debut year was bigger and better, mostly because he wrestled Cena more. And I think those two just go really well together.
Did he debut 2016? I thought he debuted this year.
No, it was last Royal Rumble. No, not this Royal Rumble, the last Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Royal Rumble's 2016. This year he wrestled Cena at the Rumble. It's weird because you'd think he hasn't been around that long, but he's had 2 years. Whereas this year he's been stuck in. It's mostly, again, as with most things, it's mostly Jinder's fault because he's best in the main event.
I think the problem for me is that Braun's still not won a title, so I can't say that he is the wrestler of the year if he's never won a title.
Yeah. I mean, he might win at Rumble. God, that feels like a filler match, doesn't it? The triple threat. He's a victim a little bit of this stupid plan that they've got, where they get this thing that they have to have Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar at Mania, so Brock Lesnar can't lose the title. So
there's no
stuck.
reason why the Miz couldn't drop the IC title to him.
True, that's true.
Yeah.
They could have done something with him on that. That would have made more sense, especially if Miz is going away. I don't think it's doing much for Roman, but
Well, Roman's not even on TV.
no, he's taking days off.
No.
He's because the
Christmas.
Shield reunion's going so well.
Yeah.
Next category then, Women's Superstar of the Year. Let's start with Ross.
It was a hard one for me, but I put Charlotte. Oh, I put Charlotte just pure. So,
And here she is.
I put Charlotte just purely because, like, again, I can see there's some bits of it this year that she's kind of gone on the level playing field now, but earlier in the year she's had again some of the good matches, like the Money in the Bank match, the women's match. She stood out again. I just think she's one of the best women wrestlers in WWE at the moment.
I like her less as a face than I did when she was a heel.
He's the same person.
I think she's better as a
It's the
heel.
same gimmick. It's exactly the same. She
Yeah,
doesn't
but it's
change.
the same as her dad. I think Flair's best as a heel. Flair as a babyface was also a bit, maybe in the early NWA days, but
Yeah.
I liked her when she was beating up Bayley and just saying you're just a fan. I thought that was great.
Oh yes, because burying Bailey is such a nice thing to do.
Hey, she was doing it before it was cool. Vintage, who have you got?
Well, it's obviously got to be the inaugural first women's Money in the Bank winner, isn't it? It's got to be James Ellsworth, surely.
No, Ellsworth is banned. There is no.
Okay,
He's
then.
going to win the Rumble.
Okay.
Let's, give him that.
Okay, if I can't have Ellsworth, who he dominated that division, let's face it, dominated TV time, dominated. He was great. Anyway, I'm going to pick the only choice that Spoonie can make, and if he doesn't make it, he's a hypocrite. I'll go with Asuka.
Asuka. Love Asuka. And
if you say anything but that,
Asuka's amazing. I think Asuka is just fantastic.
There's going to be a but. There's going to be a but.
But in 2017, I think her move up to the main roster has not been handled very well. It's getting better, but I think she's got a bit lost there. Which means about half her, and she was injured for a bit as well, so she only really got about half the year that she's really been doing stuff, which I would argue is not as great as some of her early stuff. But I think the person I'm picking has had a more consistent year, and that is Nikki Cross of Sanity. I think if you look at the stuff she's done, the last woman standing match with Asuka, all of the stuff she's done with Sanity, the build up to the women's fatal four-way for the title, just the little bits where she was interfering in Ruby Riot's matches and sort of helping her and then just leaving or running. She was on NXT TV this week. She attacked Adam Rose during the tag match and just jumped off the apron and flattened him and got dragged away as the crowd were chanting "Let them fight."
No.
I think she does the crazy gimmick so well, in terms of, it's unfair to a point because Asuka's had to deal with being moved to the main roster, and I absolutely don't see a way that Nikki Cross would really fly on the main roster. Like half the stuff she does, she wouldn't be allowed to do. It's just too dangerous or too much intergender fighting. But I really rate what Nikki Cross has done this year. I think she's great. But Asuka's a worthy pick as well.
I was going to say she's disqualified. I think Charlotte wins. Yeah, the other thing I'd say about Charlotte is Charlotte's bookended the year really well because, and I think I saw a graphic somewhere where you had her and Alexa Bliss as champions on the different brands, and then the graphic at the end of the year where it's them two again, but they swap brands and they're champions still.
Yeah. I feel bad we haven't mentioned Bliss, actually. I think she's had a great year.
Bliss
I was thinking about Bliss.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bliss as well.
She's, she just ended Bayley's career effectively, which, always scores you points. She's just, in terms of most improved, definitely Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. She was like, when I was watching her in NXT, you were like, meh.
Yeah.
There's not much to her, but like when she came up, she's made it her own now. Like, she's the champ.
Yeah, I remember thinking at the start of this year, some of the early shows, just thinking she's not there yet, but she's not far off, and when she is, it's going to be amazing, and she's there now, and it's, she's so good, so good in that role. I like that she's like now the heel, but there are bigger heels, like this stuff with Absolution, where she's sort of still a heel, but now she's realizing she's got no friends, and she's sort of scared of the other heels. It's really interesting. So, honourable mention. Breakout star. The breakout star of this year, who has come from nowhere to become a megastar this year. Vintage, you want to start us off?
Well, by that literal definition, there's only one person it could be, and that's Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. And thinking of the WWE mind. But yeah, Cody has done some great stuff this year.
I mean, breakout star. I mean, I could say Braun. I think
that's
Braun's
what mine is. Yeah.
Shout,
yeah, but Braun. I think Braun started last year though. How much of his was all of his? I'm not finished with you yet. Was that this year?
Yep.
I guess it was.
Yeah,
yeah maybe. But he was pretty good last year.
Yeah. When did he debut?
A couple of years ago, when he was in the Wyatts with his weird messy trousers.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole thing. It's the breaking away from the family and being a singles guy and getting so massively over. I think that's the whole thing about being a breakout star.
Fair enough. No, that's true. Ross, you got Braun as well.
Yes.
Two Brauns. I don't have Braun. I had.
Someone from NXT probably that no one knows about.
Not necessarily. You had Cody.
You had Kairi Sane, didn't you?
I had Kairi Sane for a while because the Mae Young Classic was so good, and she was so good in it. She put on she's one of the best baby faces I've ever seen work, and the elbow drop is insane. Which is what they've called it now, and I hate that a bit. And she's got new music, and I hate that a bit. The problem is she wasn't amazing in the women's four-way at TakeOver. She missed a couple of spots on it, which I know shouldn't really screw a whole thing. But she's been very good, but I think there's somebody who's had a better year as a breakout star, and that's Pete Dunne. I think Pete Dunne, if you think the UK Championship tournament was this year, it was January of this year. So he literally debuted to an international audience this year, and you think about he has not had a bad match the whole time he's there. I know he's not had as many, but the fact he's before the end of the year been coming out on the main Raw show to a massive reaction. He's got the whole Raw audience chanting Bruiserweight, and that he's been kind of an ambassador as well, that he's been wrestling international shows with that title, with the UK title. I think Dunne's just so good, and to have gone from nobody to absolute megastar, and capped it off with one of the matches of the year. I think he's just great. Big Pete Dunne fans on this show, but Braun works too. So we then come to a negative one. It's the disappointment of the year. What was the biggest letdown of 2017? For me, I might as well start one of them. For me, it was all of Money in the Bank. I really like Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view, as a concept. I love the briefcase. I think it's just it's one of the great modern things in wrestling as an idea. And this year's was just awful. Not just the pay-per-view, but everything that came from it. You had Ellsworth winning the first ever women's Money in the Bank, which in itself wasn't a great match. You had Corbin winning the men's Money in the Bank to a really muted reaction. Then you had Corbin failing to cash in on Jinder on just TV, and it just going away and never really been... And it didn't turn into like Corbin becoming a monster from it. He then just lost again to Cena. You've had Carmella just doing nothing with the women's Money in the Bank. They gave her the
She
brief.
remembers to bring it out. She doesn't leave it in the dressing room. She still remembers that prop.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something. But she just, I think they gave it to her. They did this big thing. They wanted to have the match, and then they realised that concept doesn't work in a division with 4 people in it.
Well, there's more than 4 people in it now.
Yeah, now it works. Now you could do it. But yeah, for me, it was, it should have been my favourite show of the year, and it just wasn't very good. Vintage, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good shout. The more you talk through it, the more you're convincing me that it's probably that. I had Bailey.
Yeah. Oh, God, Bailey.
Bailey.
So good in NXT, and well, she is good anyway.
Yeah.
But
I think
it's just...
Yeah, but
sorry.
both of our choices. I was just going to say, both of our choices are just really bad booking, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's probably yours gets the nod because it's bad booking that affected a whole suite of people, whereas the bad booking in my instance is just killing one of the next Mae Young.
You could say that Bailey's trouble kind of began last year. Like we said, as much as we love the stuff with You're Just a Fan with Charlotte, it seemed like a great thing. You look back at it now and you think, actually, that is how they see her. That wasn't just Charlotte being a heel. That's what they, And she was scared of a stick.
Because I thought that they were... Go on.
I was just going to say, I think back in February, didn't she end Charlotte's pay-per-view streak back in February? So she started the year really strong.
Yeah.
It's just died.
And then it went nowhere.
I thought that they were billing her to be like the next female John Cena, like she's loved by the fans. She's like never going to turn heel or like do anything. She's always the person that goes around hugging everyone and is like, yeah, stay in school and all that stuff. And then they do random stuff with her. Like when they did the Raw Invade SmackDown, she went round and like beat up. Like fair enough. There's no faces and heels in that section, and it was just like she was beating up like the faces, and I was like, this is really weird. I guess that for them, there's no face or heels in that section.
My favourite Bailey moment of the year was from Survivor Series when Stephanie McMahon gave her awful pep talk to all of them, where she wore heels that made her look taller than all the other women. And her one bit to Bailey was, Bailey, no hugs. And then they all went out to the ring, and during Charlotte's entrance or whatever, it just cut back to the thing, and Bailey's just hugging a girl at the side of the ring. And you think, for God's sake, Bailey.
One job. One job
is to not hug anyone. Oh, Bailey. No, fair. Ross, what was yours?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Similar reasons.
Oh, man. Again, technically it's actually not really. It's probably the booking. It's the booking team and the people that write these storylines, and Shinsuke, he's got this massive following, and he is really, really good, and he's got an amazing entrance, and yet they just have done nothing with him. And every match he's been in, he hasn't really shone as much as he shone in NXT. And that's the same with a lot of the people from NXT who've come up. In their matches, they're not the same. And I guess it's because there's different rules for safety and all that stuff than Triple H gives them, I guess. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
the
think,
thing is.
and they're working more. They're working more regular
Yeah,
dates, so they can't get hurt as much as they could in NXT when you're only working a sort of once or twice a week.
one day a week. Yeah. And I just feel like you're doing him an injustice, doing absolutely nothing with him, like absolutely nothing, like putting him with Randy Orton in a tag match.
Yeah,
Like, it's just really weird.
I mean,
He should be the main eventer. Go on.
I can think of two exceptional Nakamura matches from this year. I think his match with Cena for the number one contendership was brilliant, although
Yeah,
he did nearly kill Cena.
yeah,
His match he had a really good match with Orton, possibly for the same thing. I can't remember what it was, but a bit more recently, he had a really good match with Orton.
mm,
That's about it. Like, even his NXT
yeah,
stuff early on, he wasn't a good match with Bobby Roode, and they never had
yeah,
amazing matches. They had good matches, but not outstanding. He
mm,
needs to. I think he needs to be on Raw.
yeah.
I think the best matches for him are there. That it's your Joe matches. It's I would love to
Finn
see him
Balor as
fight
well.
Lesnar,
Yeah, Finn as
Balor,
well.
yeah, but yeah, something he's never been in the right place when they've done a storyline. He's just filler at the top right now.
Mm,
The storyline right now is about Shane and Daniel Bryan, and he's just there to make up numbers. And
stupid.
the story before was about Jinder, and he was just there to make up numbers. He's
Mm,
he's been booked really badly. He needed to come in strong, and he just didn't.
mm.
Yeah,
I
I think
feel that
that's
that's I feel that that's a lot of what's happening at the moment.
yeah,
The booking and the people that are coming up and the people that should be like coming in and like doing a lot of good stuff. They're not.
yeah.
Like Shelton Benjamin as well. He's just been lumped in a tag team with, and you've got all these people who are just coming up, and you're just not hitting the mark with any of them.
Yeah,
It's
Balor as well. Balor's
frustrating.
had Balor
Yeah,
was supposed to
he's,
be main event in Royal Rumble. Now he's not. There's been there's a lot of just giving up on guys. Whether that's going to change next year, possibly, but yeah,
mm,
there's been some real letdowns, and it is frustrating when you see like Harper and Rowan being given monster pushes. When
yeah,
you're like, well, I'd kind of rather just see Nakamura crushing nobodies for a while
yeah,
to build him up. But yeah, there's been some bad booking. Nakamura is probably the worst. Nakamura or Balor is probably the biggest one in terms of lost potential. But Bailey is up
yeah.
there as well. Let's do a fun one. Let's do a more positive one, and that is storyline of the year. What has been the best angle that we have seen all year? Vintage. Let's start with you.
For me, I think the category's name is quite important
Uh
with
huh.
the answer to the question,
Okay.
because this isn't about what was the best feud. This was, as you say, the best angle.
Yeah.
The one thing, the best storyline, and for me, it has to be the list of Jericho, because that
Yeah.
thing was huge and got so over, and there was multiple feuds that came out of it as well, and there was loads of different angles they did with it. It was like the storytelling device that just kept on giving, and it was just brilliant. It was genius as well. Like, it's such a simple idea, but had so much scope, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was just really great.
And
So it's Jericho for me.
okay, fair. Ross, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so same like Chris Jericho's original. This is Jericho, and yeah, you're right. Like it spawned lots of other stuff, like the Festival of Friendship, the partnership with Kevin Owens, which was like amazing,
Mm.
really really good. And then the feud between them two, like I think that's been the best storyline that they've got out this year.
It
And the
was
blow off where Jericho was on the list himself at the end.
oh,
Yeah, that
such a
was
good
good.
moment. I can't believe that was not our top moment. And interesting to hear Owens talk now about how he wasn't in the best place back then, and he didn't think his
Yeah.
career was going well at that point, and yet he was still turning out one of the best things on the show. Um, I think that's a worthy one. I've gone for Goldberg Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think it was just perfectly booked. In an age when you've had so many returns that haven't worked, and so many short match things that just haven't worked. You've had Sting's return a few years ago that just never worked. To have this, every bit of it felt big. You had it led to just a great WrestleMania match, and I know it was only like 5 minutes, but that's all it needed to be. There's a side of wrestling that is hype, and that is excitement, and that is about feeling big, and that did everything for me on that one. So I thought
that was just a feud. It was just a feud.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't. You could say there was less story, and the only story to it was Goldberg loves his kid, which yeah,
he really does.
It was no festival of friendship. I'll concede that. But that takes us to our big one, which is best pay-per-view. What was the best pay-per-view of the year? Let's start with Ross.
I had two. I still kind of don't know really. They're quite equal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say either WrestleMania or Royal Rumble.
Okay.
WrestleMania in terms of the spectacle again, like it was a good show, and I think the standout obviously from that was the retiring of the Undertaker. Well, he's not actually retiring, but yeah. Even though the match itself was not very good, it wasn't the greatest it could be, but I felt that there was a lot more moments that I was like, oh, this is a good show. And then also the Royal Rumble as well. But that led me on to my match of the year. Like the Royal Rumble, for me...
No spoilers.
So I'd say it probably would be WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because it had a lot more... It had the return of the Hardys and other things like that. So yeah, I'd say that.
I'm probably with you on Mania. It's between Mania and the one with the House of Horrors match, because that was the match of the year, obviously. I take it I'm not allowed to pick the entire Mae Young Classic as one pay per view.
No,
out of these, yeah. All right.
It wasn't a pay per view; it was a show.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. WrestleMania then. Taker's retirement, just too big. Nothing tops that. Even Bray Wyatt's weird projector PowerPoint match. Vintage, how about you?
Right, well, I'm swerving.
Okay.
I'm not going for either of those.
No.
Mainly because they're both part of the Big Four, so you expect them to be good. But also, yes, there were the good parts of both of those pay-per-views were amazing, but there was a lot of rubbish in there as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Bray Wyatt projector rubbish, but also the Royal Rumble. We had one of the worst Royal Rumbles for many years.
Yeah.
There was also the fact that we got the only AJ Styles match we got at WrestleMania was AJ Styles and Shane McMahon.
Oh yeah.
So there was some really bad matches on those cards. So I went with Great Balls of Fire because it was not part of the Big Four. It had the worst pay-per-view name and had no right to be anywhere near as good as it was. And it was really good. I mean, the matches you had on there, you've got the 30-man Iron Man match with the Hardys and the Bar, which was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was a tag match. That was one of the best tag matches of the year. That was so good.
It was so good. You had the ambulance match between Reigns and Strowman.
Yeah, better than it should have been. When he speared himself into the ambulance.
And then you had the main event of Brock and Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Which
we didn't think we were going to see in this pay-per-view. And it was a brilliant match. It was probably Brock's best match this year.
And let's not forget you had Kurt Hawkins versus Heath Slater in an off-camera match. No, that's really strong, actually. Yeah. I'm not sure there was a bad match on that card. That's fair. And Joe, I think probably Brock AJ was probably Brock's best match, but It certainly was Joe's best match.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, like, Joe was on fire for that match. And again, only a 5-minute match, but really, really strong. Yeah, that's a very, very good. That's a very good pick. And we're going to stay with you. We're going to stay with you, Ben, because our next one is before we do our final match of the year. We've got the Vintage Award for Best Old School Moment. Since you are the king of old school wrestling.
So, the thing is, because of the way this positioned, it's a bit awkward. I had two choices. Because when the award first came out, I thought the first thing that came to my mind was Dunham Bates NXT Takeover. Just because it was a brilliant old school style British wrestling match. But then I had to kind of disqualify it for the fact that, one, it might win the best match of the year. So that's one reason. And then the other reason was because it had kind of a lot of the new British strong style stuff as well. So it was a modern twist on the old school style. So it wasn't strictly worthy of the award. So before I actually reveal what the answer is, I'll be interested to see what you guys think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be the excellent old school booking of the end of the men's Survivor Series match, where nothing made sense and old people won the match. Classic 90s. Russo would be proud.
Yeah, I'd say that probably as well.
Well, that's the Roos no, I'm afraid.
Call back. What you got?
So it's actually Undertaker's retirement.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
because I mean, he's probably epitomizes old school wrestling in terms of maybe not so much as in ring work, but more the whole philosophy, wrestlers court, kayfabe, the character, and the send off, and the way he said goodbye, and it was the main event. It was the fact he didn't go on the mic and say thank you and break kayfabe. The fact that he retired kayfabe, he retired on his back. The whole thing would just scream like old school wrestling to me.
It was so
good. It was good.
Yeah, a worthy winner.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hope he doesn't come back.
He is. He's coming back in January.
He's gonna come back on Impact, like Ric Flair.
Apparently, he's coming back on the 25th anniversary of Raw.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, the special guests, like maybe the Undertaker. He might be there. So
he won't be wrestling though.
No, yeah, he'll just come out, and maybe go, rest in peace, and then walk off or something.
Apparently, he's in amazing shape. Like they've said, he's still ring ready. He could step back in tomorrow, but it'd be great. Okay, so our final award is for the match of the year, the best match of 2017. Ross, who have you got?
You're probably both going to disagree with this, but okay. I had AJ versus John Cena the third time, their final, like the Royal Rumble one.
Worthy.
Yeah, I just think it was, out of all the times that we saw them fight, the other two times, I think this one, it just was really good. They both worked well with each other. It had lots of highs, lots of kickouts as well and stuff. And I just think, again, because it had AJ in it as well, it was one of the best, I think, of the year. Yeah. And the thing is, like, even with seeing their match twice before, I didn't really get tired of seeing it that third time as well. So they kept it fresh, I guess, as well.
Really good. Really, really strong match. I'm gonna go for an NXT pick. Shocker. I'm gonna go for a recent one. Aleister Black versus the Velveteen Dream at Takeover War Games. I think before. It was technically superb. They're both great workers. Velveteen Dream especially became a star in that one. He really raised his game on that. Black was already there. Both of them are potentially megastars for the future. But also just the story in it, the build up to it, with the stuff of Velveteen Dream wanted Aleister Black to say his name. He wouldn't, so they had a match about getting his respect, and at the end Black wins the match, and then and the whole crowd are just chanting "Say his name," and in the end he does, and then puts the mic down, and Dream's just sitting there looking like completely shocked.
Yeah.
And even better, given that that he was pretty badly injured by the end of that match, so he kept on working through it, and you wouldn't know at all. So I think that as a breakout performance for two people with some great storytelling, that was my pick. How about you, Vintage?
Well, unfortunately, I've had to go NXT as well.
Nothing wrong with that. Don't be ashamed.
No, I feel dirty. I don't. But it's only because they're putting WWE UK programming on NXT.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Bait and Done at NXT Takeover. It might be just because I just love watching that style of wrestling, and and they're just really good, and they're British, and equally I understand the AJ Cena one winning because it's probably going to win the PWI match of the year anyway. I don't think Bait and Dunn's going to win it.
Probably the biggest match of the year. Bait and Dunn will certainly be a favourite. It'll certainly be up there. Weirdly, from it really hipster, I don't think it was their best match of the year. And I don't want to turn into one because we've spoken to people in the pub. We had a guy come up to us in the pub and be like, "Oh, I don't know why people are excited about them just having like an average match that they have every week on Progress, just because it was on Takeover." And it's like, I don't think it's that. But the match that Bait and Dunn had this week on NXT TV, I think, was better than their Takeover match. It didn't feel as big because the crowd obviously is smaller, and it didn't have the shock value because we already know what they can do. But in terms of some of the storytelling they did with it, they made a massive thing about Dunn working on the fingers and how that affects a match. They did, obviously there were bits that we've seen before, like that amazing thing where Tyler Bate bounces off the ropes, where he catches himself and comes back the clothesline, like a good version of Dean Ambrose thing. So there's things that we've seen them do before, but for every one of those, they had like 2 new spots that you'd never seen before, and new things, and it was the perfect example of how you take something which is near perfect and just put a little step up with it, which was amazing. But yeah, I think Bait and Dunn just flawless all year. They've been so good. I would just watch them wrestle again and again. So probably a worthy selection there. But Bait and Dunn is so good. So let's round it out because I haven't got the timer up, so I don't know how long this episode is. But we've
been going a long time. Special Christmas length.
I think we might be. Yeah, I think it's a bumper edition. I think we're going to hit an hour and a half. So hope you're not doing anything, Paul's cat. Let's just round it out by talking about a couple of predictions for the year. Some things that we think we are going to see in the coming year. Any big ones? I reckon the biggest one is to do with news that sort of happened recently about Vince selling shares because he wants to start the XFL again.
God, Vince.
Thing is, it's a different climate now. TV rights are different. There's more on-demand stuff. The way you produce content is different. There is, potentially things there. My big prediction is I think that we are going to see Vince McMahon step away from the WWE. I think he's going to cash out. I think he's going to try and branch out for like the last phase of his career because he's 70. I think he wants to build something else. I think he doesn't want to just be remembered as a wrestling guy. I think he's going to have another crack at building something else, which potentially means Triple H taking on day-to-day running of the company. Because I don't think Stephanie's massively interested in working in wrestling for our whole life. But Trips certainly is. So I wonder if that could be the change for some of these NXT guys that we haven't seen getting the booking they want. If you've suddenly got Trips being in charge, or he'll just be champion again, which is also
Take
possible.
every championship.
Yeah. Anyone else got any big predictions that you reckon?
So I was in a similar mindset to you. I thought this could be the year that Vince steps back, but equally, I could completely understand him not stepping back because they'll have it very much like what's it called? The Manchester United coach,
Alex
Ferguson.
Much like Alex Ferguson. You could see them carrying Vince out of WWE in a box as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just never see him retiring just because I don't think, like you said, he's 70 years old, and I don't think he ever wants to admit that he's that old, so he will just keep going and going.
Possible. Yeah.
Thing is, like with this whole, he wants to redo the XFL. There's so many more strict rules now in NFL now than there was before that. Because the whole thing was it was Extreme Football League, where there's it's not as safe as the NFL, but I don't know if he'll change his mind and change it. I think they've put in IPs for different names, not the XFL. It's going to might be something different. Yeah, I think the biggest prediction that I've got is that there is going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because we don't know that that's going to
bold prediction
actually happen.
Bold
Yeah, because that's one of the things that was going to be my disappointment of the year, was the fact that I know what the main event for WrestleMania is going to be a year in advance. Like, it's not even like it was announced like John Cena versus The Rock. I'm like, I don't want to know why don't you make something that we don't know?
Can you imagine
Anyway.
if Reigns gets injured, if one of them gets injured like a month before Mania, after all this,
Yeah.
and they just have to throw something together? Do you think?
I'm really excited. Go on.
Do you think Lesnar's going to retire? Do you
Yes,
think he'll drop
I
the
think
belt and go away?
Yeah, I think after that he's either going to go back to UFC for a couple of fights, maybe, because he's called out some guy in UFC. I think and then he'll make maybe appearances now and again. And then I think Paul Heyman's then got the opportunity to go manage someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope he doesn't retire, because I'd just hate it so much, because you think about how long he's had that belt, and how much heat and how much TV time he's taken away from the likes of Finn Balor and Samoa Joe and all the rubs that he's got along the way, for it to end so abruptly at WrestleMania without him then paying dues and putting guys over that need it and need that rub. It's such awful booking. I hate it so much. And the fact that the title's been off TV for so long, coupled with the fact we had the gender experiment, I hate it so much.
It would be well annoying.
Yeah. It's been a really bad year for titles, hasn't it? The WWE titles felt like a bit of a joke. Universal title felt big for the first half of the year, then you just sort of forgot about it. Yeah, there was a time when the Cruiserweight belt was the biggest title on the company, and then the champion basically walked away because of how it was going.
I just don't like it when they try and legitimize a title by not having it every week. Like, it's just, I can see what they're trying to do, like, but
it works for short bursts. It doesn't work for a prolonged amount of time.
How long's it been now that he's had it?
Since Mania.
Brock Lesnar.
He won at Mania.
Yeah.
It's too long. And before that was on Goldberg, who was part-time as well. Owens had it for the start of the year, and that was it. And even then, he was an afterthought in a different storyline.
Because the whole irony is that KO is supposed to be the prize fighter gimmick.
Yeah.
And yet they ran with it with the other guys instead.
Yeah. I think go on.
There's so many like Ronda Rousey is, the Four Horsewomen are coming in next year.
Yeah.
So they're just going to be awash with MMA gimmicks. They're going to have
I
to.
was going to say that.
I
Gonna,
Yeah, we'll talk about it more when Royal Rumble comes up. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ronda Rousey around then.
I
Which
think
might
Royal
be a
Rumble's going to
mistake.
be good. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's all Royal Rumble. I find is the most consistently disappointing show of the year because it
But
promises way more than it can ever deliver.
now they've got a women's Royal Rumble though.
That could be
Should
great.
be good.
That could be really good.
I've heard that there might be rumours of Trish Stratus coming back.
Nice. It's going to be a weird show because there's literally going to have to be just 2 Royal Rumbles and maybe a title, one or 2 title matches, and that's it. You know, they won't have space for anything else. It's
Or
going to be a long one.
they'll be like, oh, it's a special 5-hour Royal Rumble.
God. But
Right. My prediction.
Oh yeah.
It's a non-WWE one.
Okay.
I think it might be quite an easy one, but if I get it wrong, it won't be easy. I think Alpha versus Omega will get at least 6 stars.
Really? Wow, Jericho Omega. You think that's going to be a match of the year?
I think that's going to be at least 6. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I think it's the biggest match they've had for a while, and in terms of like audience outside of Japan, I think it's been great for it. I don't necessarily seeing it being an amazing in-ring match. I don't think Jericho's quite on that level anymore. I think he is in terms of character and storytelling. He's one of the best in the world, but I'm not convinced they're going to hit Okada levels in that match. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love it to be.
I think you're right. I think it is probably 5 years too late. We would have wanted to see this 5 years ago, but then we didn't care about Kenny 5 years ago.
That's true. That's very true.
So we just needed Jericho to be 5 years younger, really.
Yeah, it's a time machine. It'll be fine. Okay, one last thing. Who do you think is going to be huge? Who do you think they're going to have 25th? Say then, right year.
Braun.
2018. Who is going to be the big star of 2018?
I think Braun.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
He's already a pretty big star, though. Do you think it just needs Lesnar out of the way and he'll be there? Okay. So he's your breakout star. He's your star of the year. And no, he was my star of the year, wasn't he?
He was my breakout star as well.
Breakout star. So next
although
year.
I don't know. Actually, yeah, maybe. Who do you think?
I think Lars Sullivan is going to be your one to look for next year. He's nowhere at the moment. He's just on NXT. He's got a number 1 contenders match coming up, but he is really good and a really good big man. He's the sort of person they love, and I could see them maybe putting Paul Heyman with him once Lesnar's gone and doing something with him there. I think he has everything to be a megastar in it, and I think he'll move up. He'll either move up and be a big star, or he'll stay on NXT and be a big star. That or Drew McIntyre. I could see a surprise return for McIntyre, and they need people like him in the main event. So I can see an easy, quick route to the main event for either of those 2 guys. What do you reckon, Vintage?
As you were talking, so I had one, and then as you started talking about Drew, you put Neville in my head.
Yeah, anywhere Neville could be a success. You know, he wouldn't even necessarily need to return to WWE if he went to the Bullet Club. Huge.
So, I think Bullet Club's getting a bit too big now. So,
are you in the Bullet Club there? Yeah. I thought everyone was in the Bullet Club at some point.
And then probably Matt Hardy. I think out of the 2, possibly Neville more than Matt Hardy. And the reason I say that is because Matt Hardy, if booked right, would just be the biggest thing next year. From previous track records, booked terribly, and also the way it started doesn't give me any confidence because it didn't build. It was literally, he lost a singles match on Raw and now he's broken / woken. It wasn't a case of, there was no storytelling to it. It was just, here it is. It was a case of, you've waited so long for it. Here it is, when actually they could have waited and dragged out weeks to tell a story. and it would have been amazing and would have had so much more heat. So it's difficult. So yeah, maybe more Neville than Matt's. If Neville comes back to WWE, he's going to have to come back and have a massive push.
Yeah, I'd love
And
that.
he'll just run with
God,
it.
I'd love that. That'd
Yeah.
be
And
so
he'll
good.
be-
Love Neville.
He'll be the British CM Punk.
Yeah.
He could be. He genuinely could. He's that good. All right. Well, we will see across the year whether any of these come back. We will be back for the Royal Rumble, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting some new recording equipment, so hopefully this will look and sound a lot better next year. We will see about that, and we will see how we did on any of that. So from me and from Ross and from
Yay.
Vintage,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
have a very Merry Christmas, and may all of your wrestling dreams come true. I'm going to go Pareto out of my fine hat. We will see you in the new year. Thank you very much, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
And we are...